This is music, and this is another handful of songs from the Pukebox. Welcome to another episode of songs from the Pukebox. It's just a What's Spinning series. Terrible title, stupid pun, yada yada yada. We all know the story. Let's move on. So in these videos, I share with you some of the music I've listened to over the last week or so and just talk about it. And today I have a handful of CDs, and I just picked these randomly out of my collection of CDs. So up first, something a little bit different, perhaps. Requiem, composed by, I think it's Pedro Escobar, and I think he was a Portuguese composer from the Renaissance era, but I can't be sure. And he composed the music for a Requiem Mass. This one is performed by Ensemble Gilles Benchois, and the director is Dominique Veillard. So this is obviously worship music, because it's for a mass, right? It's choral, and all the vocalists are male, and you do have some contratenors on here. So if you are afraid of men singing in high voices, this is not for you. I think this is very interesting. I like having this on in the background every now and then. I detect some phrasings that I associate with the Gregorian chants, but I think if you grew up in a Catholic environment, you might just associate this with any old mass. I don't know, but yeah, this is very interesting. Very good singers on here. Like I said, just nice to have on in the background in my case, and just listen to something different. So there you go. If you like choral music, this might be your cup of tea. If you're afraid of men singing in high voices, not your cup of tea. Up next, and there's a strange connection, Living Sacrifice. This is thrash metal, but I think they are a Christian thrash metal band, so that's where the connection is. The music here is very Slayer-esque, and so that means you have some aggressive, up-tempo, in-your-face thrash metal songs, with some mid-tempo, mosh-friendly elements every now and then. The vocalist, to my ears, sounds a lot like Tom Araya as well. So, very interesting. Very, very good thrash metal. I think this one is perhaps a bit of a rarity. It's normally a bit more expensive than your typical second-hand CD. So if you come across a cheap copy of this and you like thrash metal, I think it's worth picking up, to be honest. But that's, of course, up to you to decide. Up next, Maximum the Hormone, or Maximum the Hormone, a Japanese band. Now, what you see here is the cover art from the single My Girl. But really, this is from Greatest the Hits 2011 to 2011. And it's a compilation of 3 singles they released that year. So you got 3 songs on here. They're all fantastic songs, in my opinion. The style is a mix of punk and groove metal and funk metal, but they draw on all genres. All the members of the band contribute with vocals as well, and they have very different voice qualities, and so it's very interesting. They also have very good harmonies, so there's a connection between this and the Escobar one as well. In some of the songs, they do sing in harmonies, and it's very interesting. Fantastic songs. I think if you're interested in exploring some music that might be a bit out of the ordinary, check out Maximum the Hormone. And this is kind of a good sampler even of their style, and it's only 3 songs, so I think this is a good one to check them out on. All the 3 songs I think are great. They have a bit of a naughty and rambunctious and raunchy sense of humor. So there you go. I think you can detect some of this here, even if you don't speak Japanese. Up next, another Japanese band. I've shown this one before. This is Best Of by Ningen Isu, Japanese power trio. The style is a mix of 70s heavy metal, hard rock, and like very old school doom metal with influences from Black Sabbath. And the vocalist has a very unique voice. They have a very unique kind of visual image too. So two of the guys, they wear traditional Japanese garments. One of them, the bass player, even has kind of like ghost paint as well. And then the third member, the drummer, wears Hawaii shirts and has an Elvis hairdo. So they're a bit kind of quirky that way. But musically, this is fantastic. It's hard rock metal. All the songs are great. It's really, I consider it kind of like old school doom metal, hard rock. And all the songs are great. They have their own thing going on. Very groovy in places, very heavy in places. Like I said, influences from Black Sabbath. Some people have called these guys the Japanese Black Sabbath. I kind of get that, but I think that is also underplaying the originality of this band. All the songs on here are fantastic. They're worth checking out if you are a doom metal fan, if you are a hard rock fan, if you are a heavy metal fan, even if you are a classic rock fan. And the song that I would recommend that you check out, if you don't have a problem with songs that are a bit long, Heartless Scat. That's the song that got me into this band, thanks to a very good friend of mine from Japan who sent me a link to a YouTube video that they did, like the music video for that song. I got hooked immediately. It's such a great song. It's quite simple, sure, but it works. And then there's a fantastic just change in the middle of the song. But any song from this, I think, would have hooked me in. There's some quirky, weird things going on for sure. It's just part of the band, but I really love this. I'm so happy I picked up this greatest hits album, and it did make me pick up a whole ton of other CDs by this band that I will feature in my first impressions videos when I restart that series. This one came in a clamshell jewel case, and I have that one still. So don't you worry. I just keep them in these the CDs and all that stuff in these sleeves to save space. And up last, Sacred Reich Surf Nicaragua, a good EP. The title track, I love that, especially the surf rock breakdown. If you don't know this song, check it out. I mean, it's an all-out old school thrash metal song, but then there's a surf rock breakdown, and it deals with the all the geopolitical stuff going on in the 80s. You have Surf Nicaragua on here, obviously. There is a cover version of War Pigs, which is actually a pretty cool cover version. And there's an older song called Draining You of Life. And it's kind of interesting to hear Sacred Reich. They're known for their left-leaning, politically oriented thrash metal. And that's a song about vampires. And you got Ignorance and Death Squad live versions, which are pretty good too. So yeah, if you like thrash metal and you don't know Sacred Reich and you might be interested in their early style, I think this might be a good introduction to them. My introduction to Sacred Reich, that was The American Way. So that's my favorite Sacred Reich album, and I don't care what anybody else says. Ignorance is great too. Don't get me wrong, that's a fantastic thrash metal album, and I think most old school fans, they prefer Ignorance, but I prefer The American Way. But I love both of those albums, and I like Independence too. I think that's a fine 90s metal album. Anyways, but this is Surf Nicaragua, a good, fun thrash metal EP. So there you go, a handful of songs from the Pukebox, and I think this series I might put it on hold for a while and start up the First Impressions series starting maybe next week. I would like to maybe run those two series kind of concurrently, so I'm going to look into a way to do that. But I hope you've enjoyed the Pukebox episodes that I've made in this run of the series. And I hope that you will enjoy the first impressions videos that are coming up. I'm going to start out with some follow-up first impressions videos, following up on all the awesome VCLTs I received this year. But anyways, returning to these, I can recommend all of them. If you are interested in some choral music, check out Requiem. If you want to check out some really aggressive Christian thrash metal, you got Living Sacrifice. If you want to sample Maximum the Hormone, one of the most original bands ever in the world, I think Greatest the Hits 2011 to 2011 is a pretty good way to do that. If you're interested in some fantastic old school 70s inspired hard rock metal, doom metal, check out Ningenisu, and especially Heartless Scat. And if you want some left-leaning thrash metal from the 80s, Sacred Reich. So there you go. I can recommend all of these. Thanks for watching.